U.S. President Donald Trump has announced intentions to restore and boost taxes on steel and aluminum imports, marking a dramatic increase in trade protectionism. These new duties, 25% on steel and extra taxes on aluminum, would be in addition to previous measures. The president has also hinted at the formation of a reciprocal tariff system, which would impose comparable rates on imports from nations that levy higher taxes on U.S. goods. Trump's words drew swift criticism from important U.S. allies and commercial partners, particularly the European Union. The European Union and Canada, two of the United States' main trading partners, import more than $550 billion in U.S. goods each year. Any concerted trade reaction from major economic powers, whether in the form of tariffs, regulatory measures, or sourcing changes, may have a considerable impact on U.S. exports and industry. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh has sharply attacked U.S. President Donald Trump's recent plan to impose 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, including those from Canada. In retaliation, Singh has asked for a 100% duty on Tesla imports, aiming at Elon Musk, a vocal admirer of Trump's policies. Singh remarked, "We know that Donald Trump's billionaire buddy Elon Musk is the driving force behind the 51st state, so let's punch back against him." He underlined the importance of sending a strong statement against such conduct. Singh also calls for the reinstatement and expansion of the government subsidy for electric vehicles, suggesting up to a $10,000 credit for Canadian-made automobiles to encourage domestic manufacture. Canada's ambassador to France, Stéphane Dion, replied to President Trump's statements by reaffirming Canada's strength and sovereignty. He attacked the idea of Canada's non-viability, saying, "If Canada isn't a viable country, show me one." Dion said that such threats are unusual and violate international rules, including the United Nations Charter. He emphasized Canada's sovereignty and the significance of following international law. On Sunday night, Industry Minister François-Philippe Champagne stressed the importance of Canadian steel and aluminum in supporting vital U.S. industries such as military, shipbuilding, and automobile manufacture. He noted that Canadian steel and aluminum underpin critical industries in the United States, including defense, shipbuilding, and automotive. "We will continue to advocate for Canada, our people, and our industry." Catherine Cobden, President and CEO of the Canadian Steel Producers Association, voiced significant worry about U.S. President Donald Trump's recent proposal to impose 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports, including those from Canada.
Well, first of all, we're pushing for an exemption, so let's not suggest that we don't have that yet. I think we need to fight for it, and that's the outcome we're looking for. I think that, I don't want to comment on what is in President Trump's mind as he's doing this. I guess what I could say is I think every nation understands that steel is a very strategic industry. It plays an important role in the economy. Many key sectors of the economy that rely on steel. It has an infrastructure and a defense application. So you really want your domestic industry protected. And that's the case in Canada too. So tariffs at 25% going into one of our main markets will be devastating on our industry, devastating on our employees, and we really can't let this happen. In the event that it does happen, Heather, I want to be very clear. We need immediate and strong retaliatory measures against the United States. It's unfortunate.
She emphasized that targeting Canadian steel and aluminum is entirely unwarranted and wrong, and we must take swift retaliatory action. Pierre Poilievre, the head of Canada's Conservative Party, outlined a comprehensive strategy to strengthen national security, notably in the Arctic. His approach involves creating a new Arctic military outpost. This project seeks to strengthen Canada's military presence in the Arctic, an area with growing strategic relevance. It also involves boosting the number of Inuit Rangers. Poilievre wants to raise the number of Inuit Rangers from 2,000 to 4,000. These rangers perform a critical role in monitoring and protecting the vast Arctic territory. To bolster Arctic operations, 2 new polar icebreakers will be procured. To support these programs, Poirier recommends considerable cuts to foreign aid, which totaled nearly 16 billion Canadian dollars in the fiscal year 2022 to 23. He emphasized reallocating money to meet local security requirements, claiming that the cuts will target unproductive and corrupt overseas aid programs. This decision also addresses complaints from the United States over Canada's defense expenditures and tries to counter possible Russian threats in the Arctic. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre denounced the tariffs and laid out his strategy if he were prime minister. He indicated that I will levy comparable tariffs on American steel and aluminum and redirect the proceeds back into Canada's steel and aluminum sectors. Poilievre also advised that any surplus money be utilized to provide broader tax relief, with the goal of mitigating the impact on Canadian consumers and companies. Ontario Premier Doug Ford denounced the levies as unreasonable, discriminatory, and plainly unlawful. He cautioned that such actions would affect both Americans and Canadians, saying, "It's unfortunate. We don't want to do it. We'd rather have a strong trading partner with the United States and build an AMCON fortress." Ford underlined the aim to improve commercial relations, concentrating on increasing interchange of items such as key minerals and oil. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, has once again warned that if unfair or arbitrary measures are imposed, the EU would respond firmly. The Commission highlighted that the EU sees no rationale for imposing tariffs on its exports and is ready to take action to safeguard the interests of European firms, workers, and consumers against unjustifiable measures. In a recent CNN interview, French President Emmanuel Macron responded to U.S. President Donald Trump's declaration of 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. Macron underscored his willingness to oppose such measures, saying, "I have already done so, and I will do it again." He emphasized the possible negative impacts of these tariffs, stating that they would affect European economies while also increasing costs and inflation in the United States. Macron questioned the acceptability of such consequences for the American people, claiming that tariff-induced price increases might not be in their best interests. Macron also stated that the European Union should not be the primary target of U.S. trade actions, noting that Europe is an ally of the U.S. He said that the United States should focus on resolving trade concerns with China instead. Macron said, "Is the European Union your first problem? No, I do not think so. China is your first challenge, so concentrate on it." He also cautioned that placing tariffs on various industries will raise expenses and cause inflation in the United States, raising questions about whether this is in line with the wishes of the American people. Macron stressed the global economy's interconnectivity and warned against measures that may disturb its equilibrium. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot has sharply denounced U.S. President Donald Trump's recent proposal to impose 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. In an interview with TF1 television, Barrot highlighted that the European Union, EU, is ready to protect its interests and will respond accordingly. He commented, "There is no hesitation in defending our interests." Barrot said that this approach is similar to those made by Trump in 2018, to which the EU previously replied with remedies. He confirmed that the EU will take the same strategy this time, saying, "This is what Donald Trump did in 2018, and we responded. We will respond again." German Chancellor Olaf Scholz highlighted that the EU is ready to respond quickly to any additional tariffs imposed by the United States. He remarked, "We can act within an hour if necessary," emphasizing the EU's willingness to take steps to preserve its economic interests. One significant question is whether the EU would reintroduce its previous tariff list or use new instruments like the anti-coercion instrument, which permits the group to respond more widely in defense of economic interests. The European Union has a range of weapons and techniques at its disposal in reaction to the United States' repeated tariffs. Historically, the EU has levied retaliatory levies on U.S. exports, focusing not only on metals, but also on iconic commodities such as bourbon whiskey, orange juice, and motorbikes, which are frequently concentrated in politically sensitive U.S. states. These targeted tariffs have a dual purpose. They put pressure on both the U.S. administration and important groups involved in the American economy. If the U.S. imposes more steel and aluminum tariffs, the EU may immediately restore and expand such rebalancing measures, possibly causing significant economic and political harm to key U.S. businesses. More recently, the EU has expanded its powers through the anti-coercion instrument, which dramatically broadens the spectrum of possible sanctions beyond simple import taxes. The anti-coercion tool allows the EU to limit U.S. corporations' access to European public procurement contracts, thereby prohibiting them from bidding on significant infrastructure and services projects within the Union. It may also impose further controls or market access limitations on American service providers in fields ranging from financial services and insurance to high-value digital services. In practice, this would imply that large U.S. technology companies, streaming platforms, and financial intermediaries would face significant challenges when functioning in the European single market. Furthermore, the EU may use its well-developed regulatory frameworks, such as the Digital Markets Act and the Digital Services Act, to impose stricter compliance requirements or harsher penalties on U.S.-based tech behemoths such as Meta, Alphabet, and Apple if they are deemed gatekeepers with a significant market share. Furthermore, the group may reopen negotiations about an EU-wide digital services tax, which were previously shelved in favor of pursuing a worldwide accord through the OECD. Imposing such a tax unilaterally or permitting large member states, such as France, to impose their own national digital taxes would undoubtedly elicit a strong reaction from Washington. But it would also demonstrate the EU's readiness to employ every policy lever at its disposal. In severe cases, the EU may further restrict the enforcement of intellectual property rights for U.S. corporations or impose new hurdles on American agri-food items, chemicals, or medicines. While the EU favors engagement and de-escalation, such steps would put significant pressure on Washington to rethink its tariff policies. Given the magnitude and importance of the transatlantic economic relationship, which is valued at more than $1 trillion in goods and services each year, any substantial move by the EU has the potential to resonate internationally and compel a rethinking of the U.S. strategy. Ultimately, these combined alternatives represent a European willingness to send a message that unjust or unilateral tariff increases from Washington would not go unchallenged. Trump's renewed effort includes a 25% steel tax and an unknown aluminum charge on top of existing metals tariffs. He has also threatened to apply similar accusations abroad, even to long-standing U.S. allies in Europe and North America. Trump's desire for a reciprocal tariff system, which would match each trade partner's rates for entering U.S. products, exacerbates the situation. The president has regularly expressed dissatisfaction with the EU's 10% duty on automotive imports, comparing it to the United States' 2.5% car tariff. However, detractors point out that the United States puts a 25% duty on imported pickup trucks, one of the most profitable automobile categories in the country, demonstrating that the difference is not as simple as Trump claims. Trump has not stated whether he would preserve the duty-free exemptions and quotas set by the Biden administration, putting numerous exporters and American firms that rely on steel and aluminum inputs in jeopardy. Canada and the European Union are strengthening their economic cooperation in response to President Donald Trump's announcement of a fresh round of tariffs. Central to these efforts is the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, which went into effect in September 2017 and has since altered the bilateral economic landscape. With persistent uncertainty in U.S. trade policy, including threats of hefty tariffs on Canadian exports, the EU and Canada see an opportunity to strengthen links, diversify markets, and mitigate the potential harm caused by the new wave of American protectionism. Canadian Trade Minister Mary Ng's recent trip to Brussels demonstrated a renewed commitment to expanding economic partnership with Europe. During her visit, she emphasized Canada's desire to expand beyond its usual U.S.-centric trade emphasis, stressing the mounting dangers presented by Washington's unpredictable tariff and border policies. Although the United States is Canada's largest trading partner by far, the fragile state of North American ties has fueled Ottawa's ambition to develop new market routes. This mutually reinforcing approach demonstrates that, in a period of shifting alliances and rising protectionist sentiment in the United States, the EU-Canada collaboration is becoming a critical foundation of both regions' economic prospects. That's it for this video. Thank you for viewing this video. We appreciate you visiting us today. If our work resonated with you or inspired you, please consider showing your support by liking it and subscribing to keep connected with our community. We greatly appreciate your support. You may watch another video from our channel, which is currently displayed on the screen.